clerk who signed her paychecks and intimidated the stuffing out of her. 6 days ago was another lifetime. 6 days earlier. The paper was thick and creamy, embossed with a gold letterhead and engraved ink. Mollie read the note for a second time. Miss Knox, I would like to meet with you to discuss a potential business venture. I will call at the 57th Illinois Watch Company at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Zack Kazmarek, attorney for Hartman's, Inc. Despite the note's formal tone, Mollie was smart enough to be scared stiff. Zack Kazmarek was the legal mastermind behind the city's most elite mercantile empire. Half of Chicago was in his back pocket, and the other half was afraid of him. Mollie fell into both categories. He had always been coolly polite to her, but Mollie knew better than to let that lull her into a false sense of security. After all, the rumors about Mr. Kazmarek were legendary. The workshop was filled with the sounds of whirring lathes as workers constructed the tiny watch components, but the distinctive tapping of Frank Spencer's cane cut through the noise. "Good news?" he asked. "I don't know," Mollie said. She leaned closer so her voice wouldn't be heard over the steady grind of the workshop and read the note to Frank in a low voice. Frank's sightless eyes stared straight ahead as he absorbed the words, memorizing them with his impressive mind. Not many people would have hired a blind man for their attorney, but Mollie was eternally grateful to Frank for saving her father's life at the Battle of Winston Cliff, and he would always have a home at the 57th Illinois Watch Company. Frank was like a second father to her, and she trusted him implicitly. Frank rubbed his lean jaw as he considered the message. In all the years we've been dealing with Hartmans, they have never come in person to the workshop. This is odd. Concern was plain in his tone. Frank was the only other person in the company who understood how precarious their financial situation was. The 57th Illinois Watch Company made the most beautiful watches in America. With enameled dials and hand-engraved gold cases, each watch was a marvel of engineering, combined with spectacular artistry. They were also outrageously expensive, which meant Hartman's was the only store in Chicago that could afford to carry them. With its marble floors and crystal chandeliers, Hartman supplied the millionaires of Chicago with sapphires from India, perfume from France, and Italian suede leather so soft it draped over the hand like silk. They also sold the jewel-encrusted timepieces from the workshop of the 57th Illinois Watch Company. When she inherited the company 3 years ago, Mollie realized their glaring vulnerability. They sold all their watches to Louis Hartman's grand store, and having only one client meant they could be wiped out the moment the mercantile king decided to use another company to supply watches for his store. Her company was at the mercy of Hartman's, which was why a sudden visit from the store's lawyer was so worrisome. Mr. Kazmarek intimidated Mollie down to her fingertips as she twisted the note between her hands. "I was about to settle down to lunch, but now I'm too nervous to eat anything," she confessed. Frank looked anxious too, rubbing his hands against his vest, his eyes darting around the workshop as though he could still see. "Is everything presentable? If the lawyer is coming, he may want to inspect the property." Mollie surveyed the workshop. She loved every square inch of this old building, with its exposed brick walls and high windows. The cavernous room was dominated by 20 work tables set at shoulder height, so the technicians could work without stooping. Each technician had a jeweler's loop over one eye and used pins and tweezers to fit delicate components together. On the other side of the room, the artisans engraved the gold watch covers. Her most valuable assets were Ulysses and Alice Adair, a married couple whose artistic creations fashioned from gold, enamel, and gemstones were soaring hymns to beauty. Mollie's earliest memories were of playing among these tables, watching in awe as her father created the most beautiful watches in the world. When she was younger, Mollie was convinced her father was as clever as Leonardo da Vinci as he assembled whirring, ticking